Hey, great to have you. Welcome to the program. Thanks. It's the Joe Pags Show. Great radio stations across the land. Newsmax TV, iHeartRadio, joepags.com. It is always an absolute pleasure and a thrill to have Pastor John Hage, Hage Ministries, Cornerstone Church on the line with me. Pastor, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Joe Pags. How are you, sir?
I am living the dream, man. We've had quite an eventful time in America since the last time we spoke, right?
Indeed, we have. It has been a political earthquake.
It has, in a good way. I think the result is actually good. At the end of the day, I want to go back to what you and I talked about sometime before the election. And my question to you was: will Christians, will Jews, will the evangelicals go and vote for Donald Trump where they didn't go and vote for Mitt Romney? And the answer was yes. But now I want to ask you, because you're the man I always turn to. Why did they? Did they vote against Hillary Clinton, or did they vote for Donald Trump?
No, I think there's something that the media really hasn't latched on to yet, and the fact the hidden issue that drove evangelicals to the voting booth in record numbers was the issue of Israel. The Democratic Party did not bring them up, but the Republican Party, particularly with Pence and also with Donald Trump, made it an issue that America was going to stand with Israel. Now, in my own case, I am the national founder of Christians United for Israel, yes, and we have 3.3 million members on our mailing list.
Wow.
That are definitely committed to Israel. And when, over 2 years ago, we sent then Governor Mike Pence to Israel, and he came back on fire for Israel, and we could tell our base was ignited from coast to coast, waiting to pull the lever for someone who would stand up and support for Israel. But I also believe that abortion had something to do with it, but Israel was the main issue that drove the people that we know to vote like they had never voted before. The Obama administration went out of its way to put distance between the White House and Jerusalem. We as a nation have given $150 billion to Iran, that's a terrorist state, that are making rockets that will be given to Hezbollah and Hamas, which are terrorist organizations on Israel's borders that will attack Israel at its earliest convenience. Donald Trump said something. This was a movement. Actually, I think God in heaven was watching this election, and the wind of heaven caught fire. That he who keepeth Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps stirred the evangelicals to get out and go vote, and they stormed the voting booth to have a change in America.
It is Pastor John Hage, of course, Hage Ministries. You can find him by looking up Hage Ministries on Facebook. Or you can find him on your television across the nation every weekend with his great sermons. Pastor, we talked about this before as well, but I want to bring it back up. For some reason, Jews in America, by and large, the vast majority, identify with the Democrat Party, identify with Hollywood, identify with big music, and identify with the way Barack Obama was treating Israel. Why is that? Can you put your finger on why they would ever be less conservative, more liberal, less Republican, more Democrat? Why is that?
It goes very clearly and simply to this: you either believe the Bible or you don't.
Yeah.
I refer to Orthodox Jews and conservative Jews as Torah Jews. They believe the Bible. Liberal Jews do not believe the Bible. And if you believe the Bible, you support Israel. If you detach yourself from the biblical roots of God making a covenant with Abraham and giving the land of Israel to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and their descendants forever, if you detach yourself from that, Israel is no more significant than Zimbabwe.
No.
But the moment that you believe the Torah, the Bible, then you have a biblical mandate to stand up and speak up for Israel and the Jewish people. It's a very simple definition. Do you believe the Bible? Do you live by it? And if the answer is yes, you have a biblical basis of supporting Israel. Supporting Israel is not a political issue, it's a Bible issue.
It is Pastor John Hage, Hage Ministries, also Cornerstone Church. Pastor, you were in Israel recently, and you speak with the really heavy hitters there. You speak with people in government. You speak with those who many listening would know their names, and you get to speak to them privately. What were they saying about our election? What did they want to see happen? And what was, as he leaves office, is there feeling there that Israel was not treated like our best friend and little brother in the Middle East, that they were treated almost like an enemy during the Obama administration?
I can tell you that the people in Israel are dancing in the streets. Has been publicized in the media that thousands of Jewish people were at the wall the night before the elections praying for the American election, because they were terrified that there would be 4 more years of the Obama administration's separation of Washington and Jerusalem. It was Obama that told the Jewish people that they needed to give part of Jerusalem to the Palestinians as a future state. He was telling them they have no right to continue to build apartments in what is Israel. America has awesome power to affect what happens in the Middle East. So what you have is an Obama administration that gave $150 billion to Iran, who is a terrorist state, who has people dancing in the street, death to Israel, who will use the bombs that are made with American dollars to take Jewish lives. The people in Jerusalem know that a change in the White House would be a direct blessing from heaven, and heaven answered their prayer.
My great friend, Pastor John Hage on the line, Hage Ministries. Of course, you can find him on Twitter, on Facebook. You find him on television. You go down to his church. He's a great man, and the fact that you've got some time for me, Pastor, is always appreciated. I need to know what you have surmised when it comes to why President Obama has basically caused what he called the spring, the Arab Spring in the Middle East, but basically really did melt the whole area down, made it completely unstable around our friend Israel. What was the end game in your mind? Do you think that he thought he was doing something positive for the region, or did he know that this would cause the unrest that basically is shaking, Israel's foundation there?
I think that the principle is chaos, that if you create chaos, you can destabilize the government. Remember, one of his phrases when he ran for election the first time, that he wanted to fundamentally transform America.
Right.
Illegals flooding this country by the millions destabilizes the government. You have illegals who live off of welfare, and they principally are looking for perpetual handouts for every need for their life. Meantime, the U.S. citizens are being taxed into poverty to pay for these socialist pipe dreams, and this is something that has happened, and the American people were screaming for a change, and change they did.
Absolutely. It's Pastor John Hage. So you see these young people in colleges, even in high schools, are being coddled. They're participation trophy generation. They can't wrap their brains around why who they thought was going to win didn't win. Now they call Donald Trump a misogynist. They call him a Islamophobe, a homophobe, any name in the book that you can come up with that has an ist or a phobe at the end. They want to label him with that. As we go forward, there are many Christians, there are many Jews, there are many people who are steeped in their religious beliefs that are skeptical about the administration, or they say have fear of a Trump administration. What would you say to them if they came to you for counsel?
I would say that you need to be recognized that the people who are protesting in the street, some of them are paid anarchists on the payroll of George Soros. Secondly, these deluded millennials who are protesting the democratic process, you run a race, you either win or you lose. If you lose, you don't crawl into a fetal position, whine and suck your thumb. You get up, dust yourself off, go forward, put your opinions in front of the public, and if the public does not approve of your opinions, you lose again. The Constitution of the United States says, we the people are the voice that determines the future. We ran a race. Mr. Trump will be the next president. All of the whining and complaining is going to change nothing. And the news networks that are saying the Trump leadership is in disarray are the same networks that 10 days ago said that Hillary was going to be a runaway winner.
Right.
And the pundits and pollsters that were saying that she's ahead 6 points, 7 points were wrong then. They're wrong now. John Bolton has spoken in my church twice. I know him personally. I know Mike Pence personally. I know Newt Gingrich personally. They are very intelligent and very successful people. They know what they're doing, and they're putting together a political team that will take this nation to a new beginning.
It's Pastor John Hage. Last question, Pastor, and I appreciate you. Obviously, nationalism comes back. We believe in America again. We believe in our borders, and we're all patriotic again. Hopefully, we have a resurgence like we saw in the 80s. But you and I have talked about this a lot. The most important thing has to be that this guy, who's a conservative Republican, has already put out a list of conservatives that he would appoint to the Supreme Court. That's the most important issue, right? Who we get on the Supreme Court and how we look as a country for generations to come.
Absolutely. This president will name 2, maybe 3 Supreme Court justices, and he's already said that they will be after the order of Anthony Scalia, which is a constitutional judge. And for the young people who are listening, that means the Constitution is not a document whose meaning can be transferred from generation to generation. It is an inviolable foundation of the thoughts and concepts of the founding fathers for these United States. This president, Donald Trump, will be able to determine the legal future of America for the next 30 or 40 years with these Supreme Court justices. It was huge. It was a political earthquake.
Pastor, always an absolute pleasure. I can't wait to see you and your family soon. Love to everybody involved. It's Pastor John Hage, Hage Ministries, Cornerstone Church. Pastor, thank you so much.
You, Joe. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Okay, we'll talk to you very soon. We always appreciate the pastor. Your thoughts on that? Also, we're talking about the fact that Donald Trump is meeting with people who at one point or another said horrible things about him. Your thoughts on that, too, on the Joe Pag Show. Stay here.